everybody, what's going on? I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, bringing you a video about the Pisces Virgo North Node, South Node change that has occurred. It was on January 11th, but we've got 18 months of the nodes of the moon being in these two signs. So the previous 18 months, we had the Aries Libra eclipses. That's what the nodes are associated with eclipses. That's what states an eclipse in astrology. And they were in like I say, the sign of Aries Libra, where the Northern Aries was inviting us and pushing us and challenging us to stay independent, to not overthink things, to allow ourselves to have courage, even maybe feeling like we were surviving sometimes, and still how do we partner with that South Node in Libra in relationship, but letting go of codependencies, letting go of situations and things that just didn't have that reciprocal energy. And we were sacrificing what we ultimately wanted and needed for the sake of the relationships or for the sake of our own well-being even. And so here we are now moving. Now the nodes actually move backwards through the signs. So instead of going from Aries to Taurus, it's going from Aries to Pisces North Node, and then from Libra South Node to Virgo South Node. And so here we're setting a stage for the next 18 months of having sort of fated, we'll call it the fate and destiny situations, where we can have greater compassion. We're going to be being pushed for greater healing and compassion, and certain things we're going to let go of. And I'll talk about that. But let me just give you a little overview for those of you who may be new to astrology or new to the lingo, because this really is like learning another language. The planets don't make us do anything, but we can feel the influences. And you look around at what's happening in the external world, what's happening inside of ourselves. And right now, this world, my world, your world, as well as the external, needs that great compassion and healing that these nodes, these times are inviting us into. And very often you'll hear terms in astrology of the nodes being like the dragon. The North Node is the head of the dragon, and the South Node being the tail. And so what we're looking at with that head of the dragon is that that's leading us towards that destiny, if you will, where we can grow, where we can evolve. It's that evolutionary place, which is something I'm very passionate about. And the South Node, that tail, very often you'll hear people say, those are the things that we want to let go of. I'm going to say these are the things we want to learn how to integrate, because we're striving for wholeness in this lifetime, right? And so instead of it going, okay, I'm going to get rid of fear, I'm going to get rid of criticism, I'm going to get rid of whatever, how can I transform it and integrate that transformational change that, like, think of it like the dragon, right? The belly, it's moving from that tail, that compost place, if you will, and moving through the digestive system, through the torso, and up into that higher mind, that higher head. And so how do we take, let's say, something like criticism and transform it so that it turns into maybe trusting in more positive outcomes? So these are the kind of themes that we're working to develop with this Pisces North Node and Virgo South Node. So with the Pisces North Node, we're working to develop our compassionate muscle. So finding that great compassion. Pisces is so compassionate because it absorbs all the energies of everything. It's just constantly coming in. Also, developing more of our creativity and allowing ourselves to go with the flow, letting go of things, and being more in that trusting process, trusting that there's somebody, something, a higher power, whatever you want to call it, the great mystery that's moving through us that has our back. We're freeing our hearts and our minds through meditation, through spiritual pursuits, through dream state. That's where so we can receive some beautiful healing and we can receive some beautiful information. And also we're welcoming change. This is mutable signs. And with Pisces, it's very fluid. It's a water sign. It's ruled by Neptune and traditionally by Jupiter as well. So we welcome this fluidity into our lives instead of being too rigid. Those are some things with that South Node in Virgo that we're looking to let go of. And so here we're wanting to integrate, or as I say, let go of the patterns, transforming them. We learn how to transform maybe overly anxious reactions that we normally would have. Because if anybody has a lot of Virgo in their chart, or you know a Virgo, then they can get caught, that energy gets caught in analysis paralysis, creating all this anxiety because it's like, oh my God, what if I make the wrong choice? So the invitation with that North Node in Pisces is, what experience do I want to create? Creativity. What experience do I want to have that has great compassion for myself and for others? We're also going to work on transforming about giving too much emphasis on the details. Granted, the details are important, but if we get stuck in them or we put too much emphasis on it, then our critical mind comes in. We start looking for mistakes. We make a bigger deal out of mistakes than are necessary. The one thing I would say is, if you know, like I say, that Virgo and energy, when it gets overly critical and they focus on the mistake piece of it, it then turns into a lot of shame. And that's something we need to let go of. We're going to make mistakes. That's how we learn. Transforming that into, what did I learn from this? And how can I now, with that Pisces North Node, how can I transform that mistake and that learning maybe into the next great invention? You just never know. So we're going to be working on watching ourselves, observing when we get rigid or we become inflexible. How can we soften? How can we open? The last time that the North Node swam through the water sign of Pisces was June 23rd of 2006, all the way to December 18th of 2007. And so that overarching theme, as I mentioned, is about healing, but it comes through acts of service and compassionate acts of kindness, those random acts of kindness, being we'll say the savior, but not just saving others, saving ourselves too. And, I think that's the other thing we're going to have to pay attention to, is that there may be feelings that we're rescuing ourselves. Maybe we need to spend time in meditation and going internal to become more self-aware of, where do we need to rescue ourselves? Where have we become a martyr? And it's time to let that go and stop sacrificing the things in our lives that really do add to our well-being, so that we can be of service, of greater service to ourselves and to others. And Virgo heals through precision and organization and that practical service. And Pisces, the healing aspect is through surrender and compassion and spirituality. So together, they're going to teach us the importance of integrating the earth and the ethereal, that as above, so below, heaven on earth, if you will, and balancing our intuition with structure and with the flow. So we're going to think about this theme as we go through the signs and houses, and how these signs may show up in your life. So when I'm looking at this by sign, I'm going to place the sign, starting with Aries, on your first house. I use the whole house system. So if you have an Aries rising, okay, then the houses that will be affected by the North and South Node here are going to be your 12th house for the North Node, 6th house for the South Node. Now, Aries and Libra are opposite signs on the axis. So what's going to happen is that in the interpretive piece, when Libra is sitting on that first house, it's going to affect the nodes are going to be in the 6th and 12th house. So they're just opposite of each other. So when you're looking at your chart, if you are, like I say, a Aries rising or Libra rising, your 12th and 6th houses are the ones that are going to have the effects. It's just going to have an opposite interpretation with it. I also encourage you, look at your sun and moon as well, not just your rising sign, to give you a bigger picture of where the nodes could also influence. The biggest theme for the next 18 months is if you have a mutable sign. So the mutable signs are the 3rd, 6th, 9, and 12th houses. So in the zodiac, it is ruled right by Gemini, Virgo, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And so what's going to happen is you have these 4 mutable signs naturally making a square to each other. So there's some tension and oppositions going on. And when you have those tension points, those opposing ideas or those opposing energies, then your mutable areas are going to feel it the most. But remember, the good thing about that tension is that's where our growth is. That's where we allow ourselves to evolve. If we can take on this Pisces Virgo energy of going with the flow, How can I be of service? Let me trust my intuition on this. Is what I'm about to say or do of benefit? Is it going to be healing? Maybe I need healing, right? And asking for that. Okay, so let's get to the different signs. Okay, so here we go. We've got, we'll start with, I'm going to start with Pisces. I'm going to go backwards with the signs here. And in honor of the North Node in Pisces, so this is going to be if you have a Pisces rising on your first and seventh houses. So, and that also goes with Virgo rising, if it'll be affecting your seventh and first house. So keep in mind, North Node Pisces in that first house. This is really going to push you, challenge you to step into your own true nature, your power of this is who I am. And I can present myself as that healer. I trust in my intuition. People may be coming to you with that seventh house in Virgo, looking at ways in which you can be of greater service. So opportunities may abound for you to be able to share your gifts with others. And you may even find that the relationships in your life that are not bringing out the best in you, they need to be transformed, and that you get to own who you are, not be that martyr, not be the rescuer of everybody, but you get to stand in your own truth and your own power and say, you know what? I got this. There's a lot of you that may end up with some opportunities to change your style, change the way your appearance, the way you look, or the way in which you approach the next new thing in your life. It could be from a place of great healing and understanding. And you may find yourself in situations where you have to bring in a lot of compassion for whether you're leading a team, maybe you're in healthcare and there's a crisis that's happening and you're having to care for everyone. So there could be some themes around that as well. And that may not always be easy because this challenge with that North Node is that you are trusting and going with that flow and not allowing yourself to get too caught up in too many details, right? I think the other thing too is that you'll find yourself in a place where things just seem to fall into place. Trust that. Trust that. And Virgo, so I'm going to bounce here between these opposite signs. And Virgo, that seventh house gets emphasized where your relationships are really going to take center stage to say, maybe I've been overly critical with them. Maybe I need to be more creative, more compassionate with my partners, not just romantically. It also could be in business or friends. You know, the place, there's maybe some contracts that need to be revisited, that you just need to go ahead and trust your intuition, sign them. Don't overthink it. Some of you are stepping into leadership roles, and you'll find yourself needing to have the right people in place, and you have to trust them. And so let your intuition guide you on that, and don't hold up certain projects or certain things because you have to analyze every little detail. I think the bigger challenge too is that, especially in your relationships, that you're not making a list for everybody and saying you have to follow it this way, but let them come to you and with their ideas and their creative spaces. I think you'll find yourself also, if you are in a single status, that you could meet someone who has a more, I'll say, woo-woo kind of nature, the spiritual nature. They believe in a higher power. They believe in something maybe that isn't as tangible as you might like. And that's a nice compliment for you because you can ground them while they can take you to all these wonderful euphoric places. So I think that's going to be something that you can really enjoy. Okay, now we have the Aquarius Leo axis. So Aquarius, the Pisces North Node is going to be in your second house, South Node in the eighth, and Leo, yours is the eighth house North Node, second house South Node. And so Aquarius, you're going to be focusing a lot more on what you value and what your self-worth is. Your income may be affected by this, but you may be challenged with opportunities here to be able to go into a place of greater healing, or having to show great compassion. And I know that's not always easy for an air sign like Aquarius, who just has the facts, right? But showing that greater compassion for others. So, and that becomes your income. Maybe there's a change in your income into the healing arts or into the more spiritual mind. Some of you may decide that you want to invest in something of a spiritual nature because it lines up with more of your values. And you may find yourself and your partner assisting you in being able to take yourself to that next level. If you're looking for, let's say, a loan, or you need to buy or sell your home, or things that have to do with an investment of some sort, this could be a wonderful payoff for you if you trust your intuition when you are going to, let's say, buy stocks and bonds, or get into wealth management, or start doing some financial planning long term for yourself and anybody who may be dependent on you. But what you're wanting, or should I say you're being invited or pushed into with this energy, is to really look at, does what I'm about to invest in, is it a good investment, and does it line up with my values? Leo, more of that emphasis is opposing, where you're looking at who you have partnered with on a very intimate level, trust, intimacy issues, and not only issues with that, but monetary. Who have I shared my resources with? Are they still in alignment with me? And if so, can we take these resources and do some really good work here? Can we be of service? Can we get out there and offer it as a service of great healing? And maybe you're already in that, say, the healthcare, the healing arts, the mental health, whatever it is, industry. Maybe it's physical health, like training, that sort of thing, Leo. And you may find yourself in with opportunities to be able to share that on an even greater level. I would also say that you may be given opportunities for investing as well. Like maybe there's a business or business idea, or some sort of land, any kind of investment may be up for you during these next 18 months. And the invitation, follow your intuition, don't overanalyze it, but definitely do check the details, because you don't want to go in blind. No, none of this blind faith in just signing a document that may put you in debt, right? Maybe some of you are going to be healing some debt as well. Okay. Capricorn, Cancer. This is Capricorn, third house, north node, ninth house, south node. And then so Cancer, you're the opposite, right? Ninth house, north node, third house, south node. The ninth and third houses have a tendency to be a little misinterpreted, can be a little confusing sometimes. It has such a airy quality to them, because we're working with information in that third house: connection, belief systems, learnings, we're local communities. It's all about, how do we take information and connect the dots, if you will? How do we connect to others? How do we connect to ourselves? Or how do we connect to a higher power? And so Capricorn, with that third house being emphasized, it's about communicating with yourself and maybe with others, ways in which you can help them heal on a deeper level. Maybe you also heal as you're communicating. Some of you may be starting a podcast or some sort of publication or media outlet, and using that as a platform to share your wisdom and share your gifts with others on a very large level. And the one thing that you're going to be challenged with is to let go of maybe some of the over criticism with certain belief systems. I mean, we don't want limited belief systems, but at the same time, as you're being invited to open your mind, and you may be so open-minded about a certain subject that you don't have a conviction. You don't have something that you just stand on. And so you're going to be invited to really anchor yourself in, what do I truly believe, without getting too dogmatic, but yet I need a stance, because in that stance, I can present some form of authority. I can present some form of information that may be of benefit, may be of great healing for others. And also maybe for yourself. Some of you may decide that you get lethargic or cathartic, and you start writing, and that writing turns into something that may inspire another human. Cancer, that's more of that emphasis of you've been working really hard behind the scenes, probably getting yourself together, having all these different ideas, talking, gathering information, learning about something new. And the challenge is to share it because the world needs whatever this gift is of yours for great healing. It needs to be able to have that compassionate, nurturing nature of yours. And the compliment is that with this being a water sign, just like you, there's so much intuition and psychic energy that can take place. I can see some of you Cancers going, I know I'm intuitive, but what do I do with this? Some of you are entering these later stages of life where it's like, I've gathered a lot of information. Well, now you're being asked to teach. Maybe there's something here that needs to be shared on a teaching level. So play with that. When those opportunities show up, seize them. That's the nice thing about this energy, because like I say, Pisces is traditionally ruled by Jupiter. So there's an opportunistic energy that's here.